I was supposed to upload the video, this week's video, episode 3, yesterday, Saturday. And I already recorded the video. However, when I was doing the editing, oh man, it didn't feel like the energy is alive. It felt like the video was not the video I was supposed to publish. Hello, beautiful shining souls. My name is Jostine, Intuitive Life Guide from the Philippines. Welcome back to my channel. So for today, let me give you a very just quick intro. I was supposed to upload the video, this week's video, episode 3, yesterday, Saturday. And I already recorded the video. However, when I was doing the editing, oh man, it didn't feel like the energy is alive. It felt like the video was not the video I was supposed to publish. And so I decided I'm going to trust since we are in the season of waiting, right? How fitting. Right, I received the pull to wait and see what will arise. And so I did. And this morning, I was checking everybody's self, and again, it didn't feel like the video that I recorded yesterday was the video that I was supposed to upload today, which is really strange because as I was recording the video, of course, I'm doing my usual ritual of connecting and asking for God to guide me, lead me, and I really trusted that the message that was on the video was the message that was meant to be shared. And now, having this feeling of it doesn't feel like it was this video I was supposed to share. Like, what is happening here? And so I was reflecting on it, and then I realized that perhaps as I was reflecting on it, maybe the message was not really the message that was shared in the video, but the message was, okay, so you did what you were asked to do, right? You did the work, you showed up, I I showed up, I created the video, I am already doing the editing, and yet there was this call to wait. Do I follow that, or do I push through, right? And maybe that was the message. How will you know? How will you know if you are going to push through or not? And I shared last week that I really cannot, tell for sure, right? And we really cannot tell for sure because it could be that we are just, we have our own biases and we want things to go a certain way, and that could influence our decisions. So at the end of the day, do you really receive that? Are you really interpreting the signals, the signs from the universe, the messages that we receive? And there's all these things, right? That's coming up to me from that simple exercise. And I realized that, hey, maybe you really won't know, right? But is that the case? Is that what we really need to understand from the situation. What if the invitation is for us to really choose what feels right for us in the moment, right? When we are in the thick of things, when we are about to make a decision, when we are asked to, do we wait, do we continue to push through, do we what do we pivot, do we shift, what do we do? It's not, yes, the decision is important, but more than the decision, it's what we do after we made that decision that is really what's important, right? We get caught up in trying to make the right choice, but really what makes a choice correct for us is what we do with that choice, right? How are we going to execute once we've made our decision? Whether we decided to wait, how can we make the season of waiting work for us? Or if we decide to push through, then how are we going to ensure that we are making the most of pushing through? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I hope it does. But yeah, that's what came up for me as I was reflecting on what happened yesterday. And actually, this afternoon, I recorded again, and it didn't felt right again. Same thing, right? Am I just being a perfectionist? I don't know. Maybe not. But what is correct for me at this time is that something is not adding up, and so I'm trusting that guidance that I'm receiving now. And this is where I am. I was guided, right? Because I am really drawing a blank on what to share. And I decided, well, let me consult my divination tools, right? And so I was pulled to use the tarot for today to receive the message. And interestingly enough, because I also used this yesterday, some of the cards here, I think the Two of Wands and the Hierophant came up, and the Six of Pentacles came up yesterday, which is very interesting because they come up again today. So, right? And then I'm feeling like it's all coming together now. Maybe I needed to share the message that I shared before, right, in the introduction. Maybe that is the point. And I needed to go through that process of something is not adding up. And it led me to reflect on what is happening here, right? And who knew? Maybe that is the main message and this is just a bonus. Maybe not. I don't know. But you know what I'm getting, right? I hope you do. So yeah. So that is the main, I guess that's part one of the message, and now we're going to go with the message that we received through the tarot. So it's very I guess this is a message for the collective to help us in our waiting season. Okay, so let's see. All right, okay, so we have the Ace of Wands, and I feel like this is the message here in relation to the season of waiting. Sometimes we are set, right, in our own ways. We have our preconceived notions, and I feel like this is the invitation for us whenever we find ourselves in the season of waiting to allow ourselves to be a beginner, to be a discoverer, to be an explorer, right? And to tap into that sense of curiosity and wonder. What could be happening here, right? Because sometimes we are so focused on what we want to achieve, the goal that we're aiming for. There's nothing wrong with that, of course. However, because we are so forward forward oriented, right? We are oriented to what is going, what we want the outcome to be, that we're missing out on the gift of discovering what this present moment could give to us, right? And one of the things that I've realized is that sometimes God lead us. We are led to situations, to experiences, not for the reason that we think we were led. Sometimes there's something underneath that experience that we are meant to discover, to help us grow, to help us expand our consciousness, to help us access greater strengths, new discoveries about ourselves. And we will be losing that gift if we don't allow ourselves to be in that space of curiosity and wonder, right? And the Ace of Wands is also talking about it's about creativity, and so we get to access about like that imagination, right? Like, again, what could be, what is the potential here? I feel that is the call for that. And then season of waiting is also when we sometimes we say we want one thing but really when we look deep inside of us, we're actually wanting, like, there's a part of us that wants to stay where we are, because that is our comfort zone, right? That is the status quo, that is the reality, and even the identity, right? Who we are in that current situation that we are in. That is what we are used to. And even though we could be looking to what we want to bring into our lives, or what we want to receive, right? Our goals, our outcomes. That vision requires us to be a different version of ourselves. Because what brought us here to where we are now doesn't necessarily mean that it will be the same things that will bring us to the next best version of ourselves, to what we want to bring into our lives. And usually we are asked to grow beyond our current comfort zone, right? That's why we're saying that you have to get out of your comfort zone, you have to get into your courage zone, right? That is where growth happens. Because sometimes what we really want in our lives, it requires us to be a different version of ourselves. It requires us to sacrifice something, right? There has to be a cost, right, that we need to make. And sometimes, even though our minds are saying, right, we are saying in our conscious awareness that we want to change, or we want to achieve this, we want to achieve that, but something is still holding us back, then if you are in the waiting season, that is the perfect time for you to work on whatever it is that could be holding you back. Like, what are you receiving, right? What are we receiving in the current situation that we are in? It's that gives us that sense of comfort, joy, fulfillment, right? Like, even though there's this pain of staying in our current situation, but sometimes the gains, right, what we are gaining from our current situation, it outweighs the pain. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So it's like, where is your current comfort zone, right? What are you not yet willing to release? And this is not to judge ourselves, right? This is more of an awareness exercise. And then once we are aware of it, then you need to choose. Am I ready to let this go so that I can continue moving onwards? Or perhaps I'm not yet ready. I still want to hold on to whatever it is, right? Like for me, for example, I've been feeling this call to share my message in a bigger platform. And I'm saying that, Lord, I'm ready. And I started saying that prayer in 2019. But it isn't until now that I'm really proactively doing things. And even what I'm doing now, it's not like taking huge, massive action. Like, I'm still taking those baby steps, right? Because there was still a part of me before that wants to stay hidden, doesn't want to let go of the somehow anonymity, right? Because once you're in this limelight, right, your life becomes public. And I'm not yet ready to let go of, my, like, I want to spend my weekends just lazing around. I'm not yet ready to, be active and network and build communities and all that. So again, like, it's just about having that awareness of ourselves and owning up to our choices, right? Owning up to our choices. There's no right or wrong answer here because it is your truth, right? The question is, are you willing to accept the truth for yourself, right? The problem is when we are battling with ourselves, right? And even then, if you find yourself in that situation, I invite you to take on your observer's hat, okay? And just see it from a distance. Like, look at it from an outsider's point of view and be curious what is happening here, okay? And then work on that. Sometimes we really need to be honest with ourselves, right? Okay? All right. And then next, the Hierophant. Okay. So this could be related. Actually, they're all connected anyway. So I think one of the messages for the season of waiting in relation to the Hierophant card is, what beliefs, what identity, what conditioning, what programming have you received that you're still holding on to? Because again, when we want to make a change, sometimes we need to let go of what we were taught, and we need to find it in ourselves. Like, what is my truth? What is my truth? And it doesn't mean that you will renounce your, like, whatever, like, beliefs or faith or teachings, or whatever you were holding on to. It's just that the invitation here is to check in with yourself. Are you believing this because this is what you were taught to believe, or are you believing this because you yourself believe it and you're standing for that belief? Again, there's no right or wrong answer here, but there is just your truth, right? And the season of waiting is when we are invited to take stock of our current reality and see what is working here, what is not working anymore, what is serving me and what is not serving me anymore. Because sometimes what we want to bring into our lives will require us to release certain conditioning, certain identities, certain programmings. Because if we have that conflict within us, right? Let's make it concrete. Like, for example, you want to be rich. This is a classic example, right? You want to be wealthy, you want to be financially prosperous. But the programming that you received when you were a child is that money is evil, rich people are greedy, and they are not kind. Poor people, they may not have the money, but they are happy, they are together as a family. And even what we are watching in the television right now, right? Usually those who have the power, the wealth, they are the villains in the story. And the underdogs, the poor, right? They are the heroes of the story. And so examine what could be a belief, a story, identity, programming, conditioning you're holding on to that is preventing you from moving to your next best version. Alright? Because sometimes we find ourselves stuck and in the season of waiting because something needs to be recalibrated and realigned within our internal belief system. Alright? Oh. Next. 7 of Cups. Okay. Season of waiting. So for this, the message that is coming through is sometimes when we are faced with a decision, right? Sometimes we think that it is a clear-cut decision, or sometimes we have too many choices in front of us that we find ourselves in that season of waiting because we need clarity. We need to be clear in ourselves that this is what we really want. Because sometimes we go back and forth. And I am actually guilty of this sometimes. Like, I will overthink myself. Like, one day, like, I am 100% sure that this is the cup that I want to choose. And then, later on, I was like, wait, is that really what I want? Maybe it's better if I choose this cup. Or maybe this cup should be the one. Overthinking, overanalyzing. And sometimes when we're in that space, like, it's really because it's all about energy, right? Like, what we want, they require a certain, like, they hold a certain frequency. And if you're not clear, right, it's difficult for that thing that we want to bring into our lives because we're not vibrating in the same frequency, because we're not yet sure, right? And so the season of waiting is a perfect opportunity for us to really get clear. What do you really want? What is it that you really want? Right? And again, we go back to the introduction. Sometimes it's not really about the choices. Well, yeah, the choice is important, right? Because sometimes it can make or break you. But even if you make the right choice, on paper it is the perfect choice, but you weren't able to follow through with the execution, then it's just a lost opportunity. And sometimes it's also true that on paper you could have made the worst decision of your life, but you were able to switch it up, like you were able to turn it around and make it work for yourself. Then that makes it the best decision for your life, one of your best decisions for yourself, because you're able to grow, you were able to expand, you were able to access different strengths, right, and learn something new. So it's not really just about the decision that you make, it's about what are you going to do after you have made the decision. And sometimes we use too much energy trying to decide something, right? But we don't really think about what will happen next. Once we made the decision, what will you do next? And I think more than, yes, it is important to think things through, but it's also important to think, what are you going to do next? What's the plan after, right? And if you need to make a contingency plan, right? If you make like, okay, I made this decision, how do I know that how can I make this work for me? And if I am already in that path and I found out that it's not working out, what do I do next, right? Just having those contingency plans, laying those out, right, will help. And I don't think it will be like, I won't be sharing about it in this episode because it's going to take longer. But for me, one of the things that really helped me, because I'm really notorious for overthinking, that is one of my actually it's one of my design, it's part of my design, overthinking. And so what really helped me is knowing my strategy and authority in human design, because in human design we are taught to make, well, not taught, but the invitation is for us to really access the wisdom of our body, of our lived experience. Like, instead of using our mind, we feel into our body, and it depends on what your authority and strategy is. Like for me as a generator, sacral generator, my authority and strategy, my strategy is wait to respond, and my authority is to listen to my sacral center. And so like if it's a yes, it's uh-huh, and if it's a no, or right? So if something comes into my world, right, like for example, there's an invitation or there's an announcement and my sacral lit up and it's like then I will go and follow that pull. So that's what I'm talking about, pull and energy. That's what I mean. And if it's a no, like then I won't be forcing myself. So that's what happened actually with the video. When I was saying that the energy is alive, and I was doing the editing, my sacral is like so it doesn't feel right to publish the video. So anyway, yeah, I have still yet to record a human design focused episode, and I've been wanting to do that. Hopefully, we'll see, maybe next season, whatever the inspiration is. Anyway, so yeah, so if you want to check your human design, if you're curious, I'll put the link in the description so that you can check it out for yourself. You need to put in your birth date and birthplace, because it is a combination of the Western astrology, I Ching, Kabbalah, what else? Quantum physics. Oh, that's for quantum physics. So yeah, it's a mix of different systems. Yeah. Anyway, all right, last one. All right, we have the Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles. All right, so the message here that I'm receiving is this: the season of waiting. It's not just about what you could be receiving in the season of waiting. Sometimes, I think, I mentioned before that sometimes you are put in a situation, not for the reasons that we think, but sometimes there's a deeper meaning, right? And I would invite you and challenge you, if you are in this season of waiting right now, to see opportunities where you can be of service to others. Because I mentioned before how the season of waiting, it's influenced by divine timing, by natural world timing, other people's timing, and your personal timing. And how we are interconnected, right? Sometimes we are placed in a situation to help someone else. So I'm being reminded now of when I was, at the time I was looking for a job. I've been looking for a job and it's been months with no luck. And when the time that my grandma needed to be admitted to the hospital, my aunts, my cousins, they have work. And here I am, there I was, I don't have a job. I have a free schedule. And so I was able to be the person who accompanied my grandma in the hospital. I was able to be the person to look out for her while she was in the hospital and while she was recovering at home. So that is one way, right? Like, that I was able to really make the most of the season waiting. I don't even think that that's making the most, but it's like the gift of the season of waiting. I was able to be there for my grandma. And so my invitation for you, because again, sometimes we are so focused on what we want to achieve, right? What we have been wanting to, like our goals or the outcomes that we want, that we lose sight of what's happening around us. And remember that we are here in this world not just for ourselves, but we are here to be of service to the highest good of others, to make a contribution, a positive impact. That is the invitation for us. And so I will invite you and challenge you to see, while you're in the season of waiting, how can you be of service to others while you're in this season. Look at what's happening around you. You don't need, of course, to forget about what you are aiming for, but also use the time that you have to be of service to others. All right? Okay. So, anything else that wants to be shared at this time? I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I feel like I really needed to receive the message that I shared in the introduction, because this feels right. I feel complete. Um, so yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, I feel complete, and I hope and pray that this has been valuable for you. I'm curious how this lands for you. And yeah, thank you so much, Spirit. Thank you, Lord. All right. Okay. That's it for me today. I'll see you again next week for episode 4. For now, have a great rest of the week. And I pray that whatever is going through in your life right now, I'm praying for you, sending you love, light, healing, blessings, and whatever you most need at this time, praying for you. All right. Thank you so much. Peace, love, and light. The world is waiting for your magic.